Good afternoon to you. Mark Sutt of HurricaneTrack here. It's Wednesday, the 22nd of October, 2025. Got to talk about Melissa. I'm telling you, this one has the makings of being potentially historic on a lot of levels. Intensity and impact, the area that could be impacted over the next several days. We are going to have to watch this one very, very closely. It's going to be a long process, several days. That's good in one sense because we have plenty of time to watch. But that's bad on the other hand because all that time spent down in the Caribbean, we're probably going to see a lot of rainfall in some of these island nations. So let's get right to it. Take a look at the interactive tracking map from our HurricaneTrack Insider site. And here it is, still a big old bubble or a circle or whatever. And that is because Melissa does not cover a lot of real estate at all over the next several days. So it's not so much a cone as it is a circle of uncertainty. The forecast circle, as it were. And we notice, too, it is now officially forecast to reach Category 3, major hurricane. Boy, the ace points that this is going to generate will be something else. And we see that it is not forecast to head toward Haiti or the Dominican Republic like the GFS continues run after run. It's like it's got a magnet over here, and it's attracting the steel ball that is Melissa, I guess, is one way to think of it. I don't know what the deal is with the GFS. It just won't let go. The official forecast now. In fact, let's zoom in just a little bit. You can see from this point here to this one over here at days 4 and 5, we actually lose some latitude. So a little bit of a west-southwesterly drift as the ridge builds back into the north of Melissa. And this is some of your deepest, warmest water in all of the Atlantic Basin, if not the world. Lots of high upper ocean heat content through here. We're going to look at that closer in just a moment. And a lot of people seeing this and the potential for an extraordinarily strong hurricane developing somewhere in this vicinity over the next 5, 6, maybe 7 days. And then we have to worry about our land masses. Jamaica, the Cayman Islands out here, Cuba, and eventually the Bahamas. And maybe, just maybe, I would say if yesterday was a non-zero chance, I would upgrade that to, maybe a 1% chance now, something like that. And I'm not trying to be trivial about it. There is now at least a little bit of the needle moving, whatever I can paint this for you to try to understand that maybe this tries to come up and do some kind of shenanigans up here. We've seen it before. It's happened before. It's not unprecedented. It just doesn't happen a lot. It is now at least on our radar, so to speak. All right? Pun intended. We'll talk about that at the end. I'll show you. Just something to watch for. Not trying to get people riled up, but it's hurricane season. We have to pay attention to these things. It is not over until it's over. And with Melissa down there, I'm telling you what, it is far from over. So this is the track stuff. Let's take a look at the satellite imagery this afternoon, the loop. Looking better than it was yesterday. By better, of course, I mean healthier from a meteorological perspective. And it's going to slowly organize, still milling around down there in the Caribbean. It's got some shear. You can actually see that shear coming in, these clouds blowing this way, right across the top of it. So it's the deep thunderstorms being pushed back away from that low-level center. And it's just going to take a little time, a couple days from now, then it really should start to get going. The good news is, it's not too darn close to Hispaniola over here, so the rainfall, while prevalent, it's there. It is not extraordinarily, horrible just yet. And if we can keep it away from these islands, that would be fantastic. Because I cannot emphasize enough, and they might get sick of me saying it, but rain is such a negative impact from tropical cyclones. They just dump so much of it, especially when they are moving slow. All right, I love this from Dr. Cowan's site, the tropical tidbits in this dashboard of very useful graphics here. We've got the track map, already went over that. This is the locator, that's what I call it, the surface plot. Then the all-important global plus hurricane models, and I told you yesterday about our brand new best friend, the HCCA, the Corrected Consensus Model, the Hurricane Center Consensus Aid. And the more I learn about this, the more I'm going to be watching it. It's going to fluctuate, as all the models will. Every 6 hours we get a new plot. You have all your different ones. This is the GFS, basically, AVNI. That's the GFS. These are other consensus models through here. There's the HWRF. This is the GFS ensemble mean, right? But the consensus over here, the HCCA, does such a great job of trying to figure all of this stuff out. It's like a super ensemble. It really is. It's really powerful. And earlier today, from, I guess it was the 12Z run, the consensus, the HCCA, was over here just west of Grand Cayman. It has now jumped a little bit east, which is great news for now, but we know these things can go back and forth, which of course they're going to do, because it's a mess right now in terms of what is going to happen. But one thing that is starting to become clear, it is not going to immediately cross, and maybe never, the island of Hispaniola. That just doesn't look like that's going to happen. The GFS, I am telling you what, got to do some tweaking with that model or something. Lots of people talking about intensity, and we're going to get to that. I just want to preview it for you. Dr. Ryan Maui here. I think he's PhD, right? I believe so. Yep, meteorologist PhD. That's something else. I couldn't do that. Intensity is going to be a real thing, a real deal to watch here, and I can show you from the plots from the Tidbit site. Many of the models now approaching or exceeding. I mean, look at that. The HAFS, the HAFS model B, version B. Too much going on, folks. Yes, you read that right. Around 195 knots. And you laugh. You might go, hey, come on, that's it. We'll see about that. It wouldn't shock me. We are talking, I'm going to show you. I'm going to back up the hype from something like this. That's a lot of pink on there. When you see the pink taking up that much room on this plot, you know that something very dramatic is on the table. And there is a reason behind it, and it's not just the model suffering from convective feedback. It's interesting, too, because the UK Met, and then whatever that one is down there, the GRPI, again, there's just too many of them, right? But the UK Met model, it just doesn't do anything. And it's very wayward to the west and into like Nicaragua, Honduras with the track. Nevertheless, these intensity models for the hurricane-specific models, the HWRF, the HMON, the new HAFS models, they are pretty aggressive. And that is what Dr. Maui was talking about earlier today. This post is several hours old now, but it is still relevant. So this is the HAFS from 6Z today. Look at some of these outputs and storm-focused, etc. Maximum wind, 178 knots with a minimum central pressure of 899.9 millibars. And it is tucked in exactly, we'll use this blue here, where we would expect that to happen. It has happened before. This is not a surprise. And we could be looking at some spectacular satellite views in a few days. And if it'll just stay away, do all that out here in the open Caribbean, fine. Rack up all those ace points. Just don't bother land areas, right? That's how we like it, because you got to have tropical cyclones. You got to have hurricanes. Dr. Neil Frank said if we didn't have hurricanes, we'd probably have something worse. And then, of course, is this the same one? That's the HAFS A, and that's the HAFS B. Yeah, so the HAFS A and the HAFS B, this is even, it's very similar, 166 at 901 millibars. That is from the 6Z run. We'll check the 12Z in just a minute. So how is this even possible? Well, we know that you have to have warm ocean temperatures, about 80 degrees Fahrenheit, and it also helps if that warm water extends down into the ocean that we're talking about. Ocean here is a general term, more than just 10, 20, 30 feet. We call that the upper ocean heat content. And while this map does not show that, this at least shows us the anomalies, the departure from the 30-year average. And I've talked about this ad nauseum a lot, right? Very warm relative to average, and that water is very deep. The warm water extends way down several hundred meters into the ocean, so that when the hurricane is coming along, and it's fascinating because what it does when it gets that strong, it literally takes the surface of the ocean and turns it into this like mist almost like sucking it up like a vacuum cleaner right into the eye wall. It's a very interesting process that you can sometimes see if you look closely at the Hurricane Hunter still pictures that they take. There's even some videos. And then some of the sail drones that are out there. You see the ocean, like that warm water just almost gets turned into a fine mist pulled into the hurricane to feed it. It just feeds right off the ocean's surface. Really, it does. And we can even see it in some of the videos at landfall, just the way the wind is just screaming in there, and it just skims off that surface, mixes everything up, and then here's the kicker. When you have that deep, warm water, it just brings up more warm water. And it's almost inexhaustible. Not quite, because it doesn't extend all the way down to the seafloor, thank goodness. We wouldn't be able to live on this planet if it did that. But it is very warm and very deep. And we can see these actual temperatures here. I forgot this existed off of Levi's site there. 30 Celsius, so you're talking very, very warm at the surface and at depth. And that, with the favorable upper environment that we're looking at, should allow this to, A, become a major hurricane, that's officially forecast, and B, probably become a Category 4 or 5. I think this could easily be, if it tracks like we're seeing, kind of in this area over here, our third Category 5 hurricane of the season. That is something else. So here's the 12Z version of these HAFS models, is the HAFS A, and we run this out. You can see it's disheveled at first, and then it quickly gets its act together. And by the way, keep your eye, that is Jamaica. Kingston will be right in here. So well south of Jamaica with the core, that's good. Some of the outer bands, of course, could reach there. There's Jamaica up at the top. And then this is well on its way. This is at 96 hours, 944 millibars, 920, 919, 906, 910, blah, blah, blah. 903 at 126 hours out, right over that sweet spot of the Caribbean Sea, where we normally see these things happen. So let's back this up to about 96 hours. We will go to the HAFS B of this same domain, 931, move this on further, and we see 884. That would pretty much break the record for an Atlantic hurricane, right? Darn close to it. Ridiculously low pressures, and I believe that this is possible. So do a lot of other people that watch this stuff. The anticyclonic outflow is going to be pretty much ideal. I want to show you that real quick, so I'm going to start this sort of process over, go over here to the western Atlantic, and let's look at the upper levels of the atmosphere, and I can prove it to you. 200 millibars, right now, not very favorable. You have the shear coming in from the west impacting our tropical storm. But watch what happens as we move this out into time. Forget the track of the storm. Forget that. Just look at the 126 hours at what is sitting over where this would be. You notice that? What is all that? All that white space? No shear to speak of. That is very, very important. Pretty strong jet coming to the north to help ventilate the system. Just a perfect setup, if you will, for this to rapidly intensify, steadily too, and then become potentially a Category 5. All right? Now, one thing that we need to talk about, and this is important. Again, reminding people that are not in the Caribbean that you too, T-O-O, you too need to watch this. Because there is that, again, between non-zero and a few percentage points chance that somehow Melissa gets involved with the upper air pattern. And that is a great way to put it, if I may say so myself. It could get involved with the upper air pattern and create direct impacts, potentially, for the east coast of the United States. And it's not me making this up. Other people are seeing it, of course. Ben Knoll, I mean, come on. The trusty Ben Knoll, great information always from him. These maps really help to tell the story. People along the eastern seaboard, he says, should keep an eye on Melissa. And I realized that when people read this early this morning, they probably thought, what? What's he talking about? The eastern seaboard of Jamaica, maybe? No, the eastern seaboard of the United States. And he goes on to say, although direct impacts are currently unlikely, I mean, that's truth, the longer the storm lingers in the Caribbean, the more unusual its journey north next week may be. And I like how he put that. The more unusual its journey to the north next week may be. Because it is unusual for these systems to get caught in a big upper trough and pulled into the United States. Unusual, but not unprecedented. Very, very important to note all of that, as it could impact with another system. And I like how he just left it at that. No speculating, no hyperbole. He said it in as few words as possible. There you go. And if you don't believe all that, and well, what are we even looking at here? Well, this is the Euro ensemble, right? This is the ensemble, and this is from the overnight run. So, it's going to be different each run. But let's just take a look real quick at the Canadian. One model, one run, that whole caveat, but a model nonetheless. And what are we looking at? There's Africa right there, the east coast of the U.S. over here. There is Melissa right there, and this is the current time frame. 500 millibars up, about 18,000 feet or so. As all of this evolves, watch Melissa right down here, and you see Melissa gets going right off the coast of Honduras, Nicaragua, comes real close to the Cayman Islands, and not too far off the coast of Florida, honestly. And then this right here is what I was talking about, getting involved with the upper air pattern. That is on all of the guidance, this particular big trough here. Don't believe me? Let me prove it to you. There it is on the GFS, same time frame, but the huge difference is the GFS has punted Melissa way out into the Atlantic. So on the GFS, there's no chance of this phasing, so to speak, this capture. The ECMWF also has this trough there. It's a lot broader, but it's also there as well. All right, so we just have to watch this over time to see what happens. By the way, the Canadian, just to show you, it just gets bonkers. It captures it and swings it in somewhere to New England, way out in time. Gigantic upper feature there. Fantasy land because it's out beyond the 5-day time frame. But I wanted to show you the potential. And the Euro and some of its ensembles starting to see that as well. So you have to take notice and just be aware. That's all it is, just being aware. With all the stuff going on every second of every day, it sometimes is very easy to just write off a potentially big weather feature that has a very low chance of happening, but you should at least be thinking about it. Oh yeah, right, it's still hurricane season. I will keep an eye on that and leave it there. That's all we need to do for now, because in the next few days, our biggest concern is down here in the Caribbean Sea. All right, I think I've covered just about everything I can for today. Have a great rest of your Wednesday. As always, thank you for tuning in. From all of us at HurricaneTrack, I am, of course, Mark Sudduth. I'll see you tomorrow.